Thank you very much, Laure. We'll see if Shox's ability to curse people with monologues transfers to every host that we have in the LEC, or whether it's an Atheist special. I am Medic, that's Vedi, and that's Caedrel. I actually think Vedi Medicaid is better than Medi Vedicaid, because then we have Medicaid.
No, I would love that. I believe that I deserve to come first in this duo. Honestly,
Vedi always.
I think, you know, like on research papers, that's a very childish.
Well, I'm just asking.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Astralis versus Mad Lions. Yesterday, we did see Mad play in a best of 3 in what was, I'm going to call a nail biter.
Yeah.
It was quite the back and forth, wasn't it, Medic? Did you get to watch that game, Caedrel?
Sorry, I just got lost in the source. Medic.
I mean, I watched Caedrel actually watch the Nexus fight on his stream this morning.
They could have ended, actually.
Yeah, I think they could have ended. I think most people
you broke it down?
Fnatic with a couple more autos, or I think they was positioned a bit further back.
They panicked a bit too much. Like, Oscar E too early, Rekkles like flashed into Vi. Like, I think if they min-maxed it, they probably could have ended.
But credit to Mad Lions for being able to hold on to the game in that situation. Can be a little bit tricky. They brought it back from the brink of death, and now Astralis are their opponents for this playoff bout.
We're warming up today.
Mentally, I'm like 3 minutes ago.
Start catching up.
Why did we
Best
start
of 3
like
today
this? At least Vedius is the
super
sanest of us all.
important. All right, Astralis fighting for their first ever opportunity at qualifying for the top 4 and fighting for a chance at MSI. Same thing for Mad, of course. Mad, after what has been a very difficult split, now find themselves once again at Death's Door.
This is huge for Mad. If they win this series and G2 beat Koi, Mad are at MSI. They will be going to London, good old Blighty, and they will be...
Good old Blighty?
Oh, I mean, no, sorry. If G2 then win the split,
If G2 win the split, I was going to say.
Vitality could still come second, right?
If Mad lose this,
Vitality could still win the split.
Open a dangerous can of worms.
We know exactly what's going on.
Anyway,
Astralis up next. Let's go. League of Legends. Woo! In the playoffs on the line. 4 Mad Lions obviously would give them more championship points, put them in a very enviable position where only Vitality could supplant them in terms of points. And now we will see how the game develops as we get into the draft. Astralis on the blue side, they elected to be blue. Sejuani on the red, they were forced onto the red side, obviously, and there is Gragas and Jace banned away alongside the Sejuani.
Yeah, taking away some of Mad Lions as flex picks. Looking at Annie, looking at Zeri at the moment, looking at Rakan as well is such a powerful pick, especially for, I feel like, Astralis. JeongHoon's Rakan has been exceptional. There's the Olaf ban as well, just targeting out Finn. So we'll see how the draft progresses.
We also saw the Olaf ban pretty consistently from Mad Lions yesterday. To me, it's something that has evolved as a result of the Kennen priority that we've been seeing a lot of. Obviously can do very well into the matchup. The Zeri also being taken away from Carzzy. Just a very strong pick in the current meta. First picks, we're looking at things like Vi, something that Mad Lions obviously heavily prioritized yesterday. But we saw like a shift away from AD carry prioritization, things like the Xayah, necessarily the Zeri, the Lucian, not the first picks that we used to see. But often these junglers aren't that priority. Let's see if it will be the same today.
So there's the Rakan ban towards JeongHoon. I feel like Annie is just such a powerful pick, but they're going to go for Xayah. All junglers are up, so you don't really want to opt into Vi here if you're Mad Lions. I mean, you can, but obviously the way Xayah works, it's really hard to land that ult. Wukong would work better. Ahri was quite high priority, but Lissandra is not something that leader plays as a counter pick, so it's a bit more comfortable to blind. There's the Annie flex available now for Mad.
A lot of options now for the Mad Lions. Cheeky hovers on a number of different champions for Elyoya. I'm curious as to what direction they go. Typically, we've seen so much jungle prioritization here, but as you rightly said, I think it would make sense if they want to lock in their AD carry. Yeah. And I was just about to say the Jinx was something we saw Carzzy have a lot of success with yesterday. Broke a record in the LEC for most kills in a single game at 19, beating out
Reckless's record.
Reckless's old record, yeah.
Wow, Maokai.
And, the Maokai now locked in. We imagine the Nautilus to be paired alongside this.
Yeah, I think that Astralis really like the Maokai because they love AD solo laners. So that makes it so they get freed up a lot here. I'd love some kind of Braum here from Hilly or a Tahm Kench. I mean, they could drop support till 4-5 if they really want to pick up jungle here. Something like the Wukong, because they will get pinched if they do let this fall through.
Vi still available as well. Obviously not the best into the Xayah because you can just use that Feather Storm to try and get away from you, but does still give you a lot of CC and a lot of agency in the early game for Elyoya. But there's the Braum, as you say, Caedrel. Great disengage, great at stopping Astralis from being able to find their target.
was going to say the other option that Mad may have had was move the Annie down to support and then potentially put something like the Sylas in mid. Then you can add the Sylas into the Nautilus plus the Maokai. But instead, they choose to go for the Braum in support. Now we know where that Anna would be, which means that both the jungle and top need to be locked in. And Mad Lion's already continuing to pinch that role with the Elyoya ban away. It does suggest that Chasy may be looking at something like a Gnar or a Kennen. So we'll see if Astralis respond.
Yeah, because I think Elyoya is just such a powerful pick for Astralis, the double flex, even though they're on the blue side. If you're looking at AD mids now for leader, you're looking at Yone and Zed. I'm not sure if that's something he really wants to opt into, but he does have good kill pressure on the Jinx. That's why I thought something like Tahm Kench could do a bit better than the Braum, because leader will play a single target damage assassin. And you need to be careful as well, because Sylas is another one that you'll opt into if you do pick something like the Ahri. They've killed the Braum flex, so it's an Annie. There's the Yone ban as well. So AD mids is what they want to target because of that Maokai. I'm surprised Kennen hasn't been picked yet.
Could be picked here, of course, for Mad Lions on 4. Leave jungle for 5, but usually you want top lane counter for 5, so jungle here makes a little bit more sense.
I think Astralis have a really easy slam dunk Ken and Zed here on 4-5 to just murder the Jinx in every single team fight, so Mad Lions should be a little bit aware of that as they pick up their jungler here. Wukong, Lee Sin down, Vi, they've obviously left open on purpose because they're playing Xayah. Maokai can cancel out the ults and they're not going to get sucked into it. They're going to go for the Trundle Braum, which is an insane counter to Maokai Nautilus in terms of just raw jungle support matchup. But I think they need kill threat now. They really need something that can get onto this Jinx.
I'm wondering if leader even considers something like the Tristana, double AD carries, and then maybe they round out with the... I mean, what are your best mid lane options right now? I think Zed into Annie isn't the funnest either.
Cassio, we haven't seen leaders Cassio just yet, have we? He's not really shown many mages towards, well, in the LEC in general. He's been playing mostly Aurelia, Sylas, and Zed, so that'll be a Cassio picked up for leader in the mid lane, you expect, into this Annie.
I wonder how they'll... Okay, so they're just going to play it safe. Cassante in the top lane did consider something like the Kled for Finn. We know that it's one of his specialties, but he wants a little bit more safety. This does suggest that Astralis is looking mainly to play through mid into bot, potentially. Mad Lions, though, of course, do have that last pick. Will it be something like the Kennen, or we see potentially the Gnar? We know that Jax typically doesn't do the best into the Cassante, depending on who's playing what in that matchup.
And Chasy was on the winning side of that matchup yesterday. Instead, Gwen locked in, and that is incredibly exciting. Wow,
that is the most excited I've ever heard.
Since I've heard someone be that enthusiastic about Gwen, I'm going to be honest.
Gwen enjoyers. Wow, so let's look at the comps here. Astralis surprisingly not playing this dive assassin threat that they normally do. They're not playing this like carry top either.
Very front to back.
Yeah, very front to back, which is not something I think of when I think of Astralis. So they've gone very stock standard meta here in the first game of the best of 3. Mad Lions, I think, have the exact same kind of draft, just they have better answers to it in terms of like the Braum into the Maokai Nautilus. They have much more range to work with the Jinx, and they have a little bit better engage with the Annie. My only worry is they might lack a little bit of damage. I feel like the Gwen and Braum might overcommit into this Cassio, and if you overcommit and you fluff all your spells or you give them uptime on the Cassio Xayah, they're just going to murder you. So they need to lock down those targets.
It's really about how quickly you can CC people and burst them during the CC. Annie ult, stun, flash is going to be very impactful in this game. Obviously, the Braum is a front line as well, but a lot of the impetus for team fights is going to land on Nisqy in the mid lane for the Mad Lions. Astralis looking to make their first ever LEC playoffs. Mad Lions obviously been here before, won 2 titles, were in the finals in winter, and now looking to all but lock their spot at MSI if they are able to win here today. Obviously, we will see who comes out on top as Astralis take on Mad Lions. To Summoner's Rift we go. Before we go on into the action, you mentioned it in the draft, you want to give Carzzy a little bit of credit. He broke the record for the most LEC kills in a single game by a single player yesterday. Congratulations. It was on the Jinx as well in that back and forth against Fnatic. Getting quadra after quadra.
I feel like I just saw an EMEA Masters game with a 19 kills Jinx just before the game started on Istanbul Wildcats.
Do you feel like Jinx might be slightly strong at the moment?
Perhaps, you know, 4 or 5 items, rocket form, lethal tempo, hitting me from a different screen.
Talking to Dagda yesterday, I'm convinced that Jinx is the best hyper carry in the game. We had a bit of back and forth about it, but...
Braum Q.
Kobbe cleanses the slow to make sure the concussive blows wouldn't be procced, and he does manage to walk away. Hyli going sweeper first here, and we'll get rid of that vision.
Ooh, hand the XP over to Nisqy will help him get that level 2 slightly earlier than leader. One of the things I will say about Cassio into Annie is I think that because you do have that small range advantage in lane, it can be a pretty favorable matchup, but Hylissang looking for a early gank in mid.
Hyli already puts the ignite down, the stun coming out from Nisqy as well. There's the concussive blows leader, no cleanse, no way out of this, tries to dodge away, killed for first blood by the Mad Lions.
A level 1 Braum gank mid. The fact that Annie has that stun right from the start of the game, you have the chain CC. You land the slow, you land the Annie stun, you then start building the stacks with the Braum passive into then the second stun. Nisqy then gets the second Q. Wow, 500
level 2 gank
already.
bot as well. Wait, is he going to gank bot as well now? Because he's...
I mean, Kobbe's got no cleanse, right?
Yeah,
so
he could Q flash onto Xayah, and she's probably dead if he lands it.
Looking for it. Q flash away from Kobbe. Good reactions there. JeongHoon gets the dredge line to the wall to escape. But that is Summoners burnt for the Astralis bot lane.
Just taking over the map right now, Hyli, isn't he? First 2 minutes of the game, he's basically won mid and bot in the last 30 seconds, so well played by him. Carzzy's also got the cull into longsword 3 potions, so want to avoid trading, and now Astralis can't really get sucked into those trades. They'll be vulnerable for dives.
Interestingly, Elyoya also started red into bot gank. So even if 113 wanted a cross map, he was just like, yeah, go ahead, try and steal my red that isn't there. The flash away from Nisqy.
Miasma down, flash forward by 113, and Nisqy, nowhere for him to go. Leader will get a counter kill for Astralis.
I feel like these games are going to be bloody. They're going to be very, very bloody. I mean, the Fnatic Mad game, that game 3 had upwards of 60 kills in 30 minutes, so we'll see what happens this time around. A lot of summoners blown already. 4 flashes down for Astralis in 3 minutes.
Wow, and a bit of revenge there for leader. 113. He walks over a ward, but it doesn't matter. Nisqy was so far up in the mid lane after what had happened at level 1. There's a bit of an unfavorable trade.
Does he have the mana here? Doesn't have the biscuit.
He doesn't.
An invade coming in here from Elyoya. No flash on 113. He can play this slow. Looks like he's going to go for it.
Trundle does so well, right? Just the ability to skirmish in the enemy jungle. Lethal tempo stacking up for him. Flashes forward. There's the chop. There's the kill. 3 kills in 3 minutes. That's what I like to see.
I mean, 113 had no flash after that play in mid, and Elyoya responds very well. He's only done 3 camps of his own. JeongHoon, no shot.
Even JeongHoon is not that aggressive.
Psycho. Just hex flashes into a Braum Trundle level 3. Yeah, no, Kate takes away the red. Great play so far from Elyoya and Hyli. I think the team up's been fantastic. That's what's gotten them this early lead. I
mean, you talked about it in the draft, right, Caedrel? This jungle support duo is just so powerful. Trundle's early skirmishing power combined with the Braum passive just makes for a lethal combo with which Mad are already taking advantage of in the early game. A small gold lead in their favor means that Mad are off to a great start, and this is something that we don't often get to see from Mad Lions, this level of early game dominance, but it's looking good for them here in game 1.
Okay, was already mentioned it, a lot of it being through Hylissang's ability to be all over the map. Braum, his most played champion, not something I think you'd think is synonymous with Hyli, more like the Rakan or the Thresh player, but Braum most played, this is his 100th game in the LEC with a 60% win rate.
I remember Fnatic Hylissang engaging on Braum on mid-waves.
Yep, flash Q, flash
Absolute
Q.
classic. So you could see there in the tri-lane view, top's a bit of a struggle right now for Astralis because Finn hasn't TP'd back yet. Mid push in favor of leader, the count pick doing its dividends from the draft there, the Cassio pushing in the Annie. Bot's just really hard. Astralis have no sums, Braum, Trundle, this is what happens if you walk up.
Pretty easy for Astralis to get away, but the wave not in a good state means they'll lose a couple of minions. And they can step back forward. I don't actually see, do they have a ward in the bush that Elyoya is in right now?
No, not that.
I don't think so.
No, it's just a tri-bush, isn't it? Yep. So they're going to have to thin these waves or like try to push out as quick as possible. It's a bit awkward, isn't it? Because the second you step up, Trundle could still be there.
Yep.
So we'll see if Astralis can find pressure on the other side of the map, look towards his top side, maybe even look towards mid, Nisqy no flash. Hyli can fake pressure it a little bit, but by now I think Astralis can take a safe guess that the Trundle's recalled.
And it's a situation where on the Maokai, you don't have the same early agency that you do on the Trundle, and Mad are just doing everything they can to take advantage of that, with Chasy having so much pressure in the top lane 1v1, with the bot lane taking advantage of the fact that that wave was pushing towards them, and now Elyoya covering for mid as well. Elyoya and Hyli just on... they're always in the right place at the right time, and once again, even though 113 did steal away those Raptors earlier, Elyoya looking to do the same right now.
Clippers down in the mid lane, but leader should be able to walk away from this one. Nisqy just trying to make sure that wave gets underneath the tower, and also by applying pressure, he allows Elyoya a little bit more free reign to push in for these Razor Beaks.
It's a really hard game for Astralis. They're so hard counterpicked on jungle support that Elyoya can just afford to walk in as long as he has mid push. Top's in isolation. See if Finn can punish Chasy here.
All out coming out. Finn dashing back forward with the Pathfinder, dashes away from the needle, well capable to escape it, and Tofu strikes Q3. Flashed by Chasy. In the end, summoner for summoner burn, ult for ult burn in the top lane.
Overall, well played by Finn. I feel like that he was the one that gained the most from this. The risk of getting dive top is also very real, but Chasy with that deep vision top side. Now they'll get information on where 113 is. He should be fine. Now Mad looking for the re-engage. Stun on Nisqy.
Hilly is higher level than 113 right now, and it shows. Hilly in the midst of them. The Ignite is ticking. Kobbe's going to take him. 113 will fall as well, but Elyoya's here to join the party. The concussive blows on JeongHoon, locks him in place. Kobbe now trying to get back underneath the tower. Nisqy has a stun lined up. The stun, the cleanse away from it. The zap just shot as Kobbe is able to walk away.
Nice movement at the end there. Could have been a disaster for Astralis. You can see the 4v3 is obviously in Mad Lions' favor, but it's so hard to get past this Trundle Braum. They managed to get one kill onto Kobbe, but he's lost both his summoners once again.
Now, admittedly, Astralis, they're no strangers to finding themselves in small deficits like this, and they've done a great job of being able to claw their way back through some pretty incredible team fighting, but this other game is just going Mad's way. Nisqy in the bot river, sacrificed the wave in mid, and they're able to punish 113, who, as you rightly said, Caedrel had no flash, and it's a very quick collapse as the Trundle joins the fight.
So watch Kobbe here. You could just run straight to tower. Instead, he tries to be a bit greedy with the feathers and pull them back onto Nisqy to try and get another kill in return. Manages to land the root, not enough damage. Only 3 points in that E right now, so unable to get the burst through. Ends up losing his summers for that greedy trade. Could have been a nice extra kill for him, but Mad Lions will pick up a dragon off the back of that.
E damage obviously nerfed a little bit on 13.6. Xayah's wings needed to be clipped because she was the dominant AD carry for a couple of patches, but now Mad Lions 1,000 gold in the lead. 8 minutes in, they have a Drake to the good as well. And across the board, if you look at the bottom, you can see it's all red in terms of gold differences. 113 trying to come across here. Leader going forward. 113 flashes with the twisted advance. Petrifying Gaze will lock Elyoya up. And Astralis find that third kill of the game.
No flash gets punished. You can see Elyoya there tried to pillar the hook from JeongHoon, so I don't think he actually got an assist off the back of that, but a big kill, especially on the Herald spawn timer, will net them this objective and will swing the gold back into an even state.
I will say, gentlemen, if there was a catchphrase for this game, it would be no flash gets punished. Yeah. Both these teams really looking to take advantage of, well, any advantage they can find. And 113 and Leader, they've been doing what they can to play through each other so far this game. They've been able to find some kills, and again, the gold continues to stay even. Now the Maokai has hit level 6. Playing around the next dragon is going to be a lot easier for Astralis, but Mad, I don't think that this is going to slow them down. The one question I will have is, when we think about the late game fights, I do think Astralis have a lot of tools, especially if they can set up on the objective first to come out ahead. And I think a lot of what Mad want to do is build as much of a lead in the early game as they can to try and limit the scaling options that Astralis have with things like the Cassio specifically.
For the moment, though, we just continue to see a little bit of trading up towards this top side. Leader on the Cassio is, 13, 14 CS up, a couple of waves. He's 2-0 on it competitively, but hasn't played it in the LEC, only a couple of games in the LFL back in 2019. He has some experience on it, although not a champion I think he would be well known for, as we see Hylissang and Elyoya once again teaming up for this invade.
And just playing around the waves so well. They had mid pushed in, Leader now TPing back towards the mid tower, but the bot lane also getting that push means that they can help Elyoya invade on the bot side as we see more trading top.
Not underneath the tower though. Chasy doesn't take any turret shots. The needlework coming out as well forces Finn down. Just below half HP, obviously the all-out contributed a little bit to that HP loss as well. Yeah,
surprised Kobbe is in such an even state considering the amount of pressure Mad have put down towards the spot side. Leader no flash.
Really flashes forward looking to concussive blows. Lands the Glacial Fissure as well, but 113 with a great Nature's Grasp will stop Mad Lions from advancing. Leader trying to trade back onto Hylissang. Leader still no flash, Petrifying Gaze lands the stun on one. Hilly trying to chase up towards the top side. Leader still putting the damage down. Hilly just dodging away from the Noxious Blast, and in the end the shutdown will go over to Nisqy. JeongHoon could have hex flashed in, but a Tibbers, a Trundle, and an Annie is not really what you want to meet as you jump over the wall.
He was thinking about it. He had the CC, but 113 doesn't have the flash to go over the wall. You can see Flash is just being punished absolutely everywhere. The amount of chain CC both these teams have in the early stages with the Maokai Nautilus and the Trundle Braum is abysmal. So mid lane is where they focus, and great Q flash here from Hilly. Initially, I thought Leader would live here, actually. Not enough follow-up. You can see 113 is using as much as he can to slow down the Trundle, push back the Annie, and at this point, looked like Leader might have gotten out or traded 1 for 1, but eventually Nisqy can get in range.
Hilly does a great thing of constantly staying in front of the Cassio, forcing Leader to make a choice between, do you want to ulti me or do you want to ulti them? And Leader did, of course, choose to commit the ultimate onto Nisqy and Elyoya to try and create more space for him as another fight happens, but
problem is, Kobbe's 1 order away from concussive blows.
He can't move.
JeongHoon is just locked up. As you say, Caedrel doesn't get an opportunity to breathe, not an opportunity to move. And now Mad Lions 6 kills to 3, up 1,500 gold in the lead, and this is going to be plates.
Just comes back to draft, doesn't it? Blinding Nautilus when Braum is up, allowing them to play Trundle on 4-5 into Maokai. Oh, it's really hard to play right now for 113 and JeongHoon. So plates over to Mad Lions, no cross map available. Maokai's in base, slowly bleeding gold. This Jinx is going to have Gale Force or Kraken Slayer in base. Going to be building towards that early mythic, and as the Dragon stacking comes through in 1 minute's time, I think Astralis is going to have to give this one up as well.
Mad's early game looking clean. When we saw them play against Vitality, oh, hang on a second, Kobbe. No, he should be fine. But when we saw them play in week 1, an early game draft, they really struggled to kind of get going from the start. They tried to look for roams, they tried to attack the top side of the map, but they couldn't really unlock any early advantages, and the game kind of stayed in a neutral state until the mid game where they then couldn't fight. But this time round, Mad playing around their waves incredibly well.
Oh, 113.
113 looking for something though.
Yeah, he's really good today.
There's the hook. Nature's Guards coming out as well as they look for Hylissang. Glacial Fisher coming out. TP used by Nisqy as he tries to join the fray. You can see Leader already coming down from mid lane as well. Hylissang low, pops the stopwatch, and doesn't get taken out by the root caller. On the blade caller, in fact, from Kobbe. In the end, it's a TP invested. JeongHoon flash hook. Leader coming in, has that petrifying gaze. Elyoya low. Kobbe trying to put the damage down. The Riptail goes down. Kobbe doing so much work. One more order. Flashes for it. And he manages to pick it up. A double for Kobbe. The Riptail now going to charge in.
Crucial 4v4 there for Astralis. Kobbe will get the gold off the back of the plates as well. They know they needed to force that play no matter what. If they allowed Mad Lions to base all of the gold that they had just gotten from the previous plays, they would be at such a deficit, so they had to take the even fight. Mad Lions were thinking about fighting back, but by the time they're running away, they get chased down. JeongHoon, fantastic flash hook to keep the fight going. 3v3 turns into a 4v3, but Leader knows the TP will come in, so he's already running down the river.
Hylissang buys a lot of time with the Braum, and as the target focus, Astralis can't really secure a kill as Carzzy's just dishing out damage from the backline with the arrival of Nisqy. Astralis are hesitant, but JeongHoon sees the window, knows that Hylissang can't tank anymore, flashes in, lands the hook, and then with Leader kind of zoning away the backline, keeping Nisqy out of the fight, Kobbe's then free to dish out the damage and secures a double kill.
It's a deadly plumage auto at the end that comes through. When you tap your W, you get a little bit of extra damage on that next auto attack.
Here we are again.
He's able to get it. Carzzy tries to flash away, but you can't flash the tree. Kobbe will take him shot down as well. And the gold swings back towards the Astralis AD carry.
Again, the kill timing is perfect. Dragon just spawned. They want to start playing for stacking Drakes with the jungle support advantage Mad Lions have, but now they're at a numbers disadvantage. Leader needs to make sure he gets into this river to zone away Nisqy. And if they can secure this Dragon, Astralis have weathered the early game storm. Now they'll go towards the mid to late game. Kobbe is 4-0 on the Xayah. Leader is going to be a nightmare when he gets towards 2 items. So I think Astralis have just recovered the entire game in the last few minutes.
Astralis, I love the way in which they've matched the aggression. When we think back to the regular season when they were rising their way up through the ranks with the addition of Leader, we praise this team as being a very skirmish-orientated team. They're not afraid to fight you. They're not afraid to go toe-to-toe. And they're showing that once again against Mad. Mad, who are 6-3 in kills, how quickly the tables have turned. And now Astralis find themselves only 1,000 gold down. They're equal on Dragons, and they're in a much more comfortable spot as we get closer to the mid-game.
And Kobbe as well is in a comfortable spot, because for a few moments it looked like Carzzy would just be able to outpace him on this Jinx when Carzzy was getting the kills, when Carzzy was getting the plates, but Kobbe has so consistently, alongside JeongHoon, been the carry for Astralis. Cleanses away, Super Mega Death Rocket coming in as well, but there's the Nature's Grasp as JeongHoon looks for a little bit more action. Elyoya's on his way down here. Kobbe can't really open up yet.
Oh my god.
Back up there, knocked up with the death charge as well. And Carzzy will fall. Unstoppable Kobbe. That's 5, that's 6. One more auto is enough. As Astralis really open up on the bot lane. Leader trying to trade with Nisqy and Elyoya. Petrifying Gaze has already been used to flash away from Leader. Elyoya with the subjugate. Nisqy flash stun. Uses the disintegrate incinerate combination to make sure that stun connects. And Mad Lions get an answering kill in the mid lane.
Leader falls, but Kobbe rises, doesn't he? 6-0 on the Xayah now, winning out on these bot fights. 113 is skipping all his camps and just making sure he's on bot lane on push-out timers. Elyoya's not there to match, so it's always a 3v2. Managed to find 1 kill in mid, but now when Kobbe's base, he's getting closer and closer to that Navori Quickblades. Herald's just spawned, which would be a fantastic objective to pick up to get that mid-tier 1 and start to break open this map, because both side lane towers are low. Astralis can now start to push forwards in this mid game.
It's games like this that remind me that top lane is a role, you know? Finn, Chasy, just looking at the map, pressing tab every now and then, being like, how's it going, guys? The Herald now spawns. Perhaps we can get more of those top laners involved, but Mad choosing not to go for the fight. And I do have to say that Carzzy and Hylissang, that first play where they were able to get that kill onto Carzzy, he was forced to flash in exchange for 113s. not much Carzzy could have done. But Hyli and Carzzy, that second death, you have to question if that was really an overextension, if they needed to make that play, because Astralis are primed and ready to punish every overextension that Mad have made.
Look what's happening on the map, though. Leader TP top to secure this Herald. And so Mad Lions thought, if they're getting Herald, let's get bot tier 1. Astralis say, we'll go for top tier 1. And now they can play for 2 towers because they have Herald. So Mad Lions need to respond. You can see Elyoya is hovering in the bush, ready to look for a fight. And it just looks like it will be a tower for tower trade on both side lanes. I wonder if Astralis could have saved that. I feel like that tower was pretty much guaranteed unless they were going for 2. So taking the mid one will be a little bit more difficult. Crash will come through.
Still get the charge through. I will say, I kind of wish it was Finn or Chasy who were spamming the 113 emote, because it feels very much like a surfer emote. It's like, yeah, gnarly dude, you guys enjoy yourselves.
Team diff.
Hit the way, yeah, team diff, down towards the bottom lane.
Top lane roll.
2 minutes until the next dragon. TPs are, of course, now unleashed. So those top laners can definitely get a lot more involved.
Cassio no boots, though.
True, that's a great point. I do have to clarify, when casters say that, they are joking.
Yeah, I got
some people get
told that I was
upset.
an idiot because Cassio can't buy boots, so why would I say that she
That was a
boots?
joke, just so people understand. You
I'm
can
looking
see
at
how
you,
strong.
random Redditor, 6192420.
Leader, look at how strong he is right now. Rylai's plus the Roa nearly fully stacked, along with a fully stacked tier. The second that he gets that Seraphs, he's going to be very difficult to deal with. And it's something that Mad, in the early game, they looked very strong, but those early skirmishes, Astralis just didn't let up. I'd love to go back and look through the VoDs of like what 113 does, because I wonder if he was even clearing camps. It felt like he was going back to base, ganking bot, go back to base, ganking bot. His pressure there to try and get Kobbe ahead was effective, and it paid off as Chasy is now the one in danger.
So Chasy can just be immune.
True.
Yep. Got her shots.
That Gwen fan still, that was a highlight.
The immunity! She can just press W and escape. But Astralis will push in for this top tier 2. Of course, the Rift Tower charge helping them out a little bit. With that, it's low. Mad Lions try to answer by pushing out with Hylissang and Elyoya.
Astralis need to shift from top to bot now. Drake's in 50 seconds. They need to make sure they're in that bot side river. They've got their whole bot side warded, so Mad are very happy just blowing this mid wave in, holding Chasy up top with TP and just controlling this bot side.
That bot wave is coming in awkward as well.
JeongHoon's basing now, he needs to refresh his ward. So now it's a case of, can Astralis retake this bot side vision and how hard can Mad Lions hold it? All that'll matter now is this next mid wave.
2 items finished on Carzzy as well, though.
Observers highlighting for us what Astralis can see. Very limiting. Kobbe's back, continues to get interrupted. 28 seconds until the dragon means that Astralis going to be very late to this play. He wants to try and get that second item. As you can see, Carzzy's already secured for himself. Mad Lion's in a much better position for the upcoming dragon.
He's on 1.4k gold. Yeah, he has Navorian base. They really don't want to... I mean, they're going to have to take a fight now.
Finn looks for the knockback. Hylissang tanks it. Finn has to flash away. Concussive blows almost procced on him. Ward over the wall by Mad Lions. They are winning out in this fight so far. A hook onto Elyoya, but the flame chopper's come down, and he's just assassinated the Nautilus. Stopped where he stands. 113 trying to get away. The super mega death dragon. Hyli, but of course, Hyli flash Q finds the kill, finds the jungler, and Mad will find the dragon.
What a monster! Just flashes into tower range in front of 3 members of Astralis just to snipe off 113. They're trying to force his mid tower, maybe a bit greedy. Astralis looks like they can hold.
One more auto on Finn will land the stun. Leader does still have the petrifying gaze as well, so don't really want to dive the Cassio, but Elyoya's already started up the dragon. In the end, it's 2 kills and a Drake over to Mad.
Ultimately, Mad played the map better. They had 1-2 members defending that topside tower. Astralis tried to siege onto it, but they committed 4, wasting a lot of time. And in that window, Mad invested all their vision bot and were able to find a good fight.
This is a Baron. Yeah, this is for sure a Baron rush. Mad have dropped all tempo topside. They don't have any vision. They left the top side to go back to defend their bot side. And now this is just going to get melted. I wonder if Chasy suspects something. He's on the crux right now. Elyoya, Hyli's coming out of base. This is gone.
Ordered down to 7,000. Finn acting as a bit of a bouncer, making sure that no one can come in, but I really don't think the Mad Lions realize this is happening.
Oh, they do, but they know that they're way too late. They're going to rock up, put a ward over the wall as it dies, and they're going to regret their decision to overstay for that mid tower. This all comes down to tempo. Once you get a play, you have a time window to play around, and Mad thought they could get a tower and a Drake. In essence, they only really got a dragon, but the time they spent trying to take that tower meant that Astralis had extra time to force down a Baron. Really good call.
Good response from Astralis, and overall just a great awareness. The Cassio power coming to full effect. Kobbe now picking up the Navori Quickblade. And look at this, gold still very even. But let's see what Astralis can now do with this. Well, they look to just... right now, they're just grouping up as a 5 stack in the mid lane, looking to siege onto that mid tier 1.
Leader has TP, so the objective will be bot tier 1. They need to keep 4-man mid to keep Mad Lions under wraps.
Yep.
And Mad Lions have two options here. One, defend bot with your lives, or two, try to cross map. Looks like Nisqy's pushing top and they're hovering top, so they're going to say, well, you can take our bot tower, we'll take your top, and then we'll try and defend the tier 2 with TP perhaps. But Elyoya is going to have to base soon when he realizes no one's up here.
Does need to be careful though, because there is a wall where he can get dived by Astralis. The Baron and Powered minions, yeah, he's just going to quickly back away from that one. Not worth trying to defend for the time being. The siege continues in mid with the 4 stack as both teams contest over that wave. Chasy actually going for a fight.
He's trying to keep Leader busy because look at where Nisqy is in the mid lane. He has a flank position if he can get there. Leader taken down to about half HP. Nisqy could have looked to try and collapse onto Astralis. In the end, Leader healing up with the Twin Fangs. Should be able to walk back and take this tower.
Yeah. Mad. I think they blundered a little bit. It looks like Nisqy ran mid because they thought, let's fight. Let's look for a 4v4. Let's stop them from taking this tower. But they took the tower.
No. Oh.
Baron recall.
Come on, man.
I get you every time.
I can't always look at the mini-map.
I love the shifts from Astralis though, because what they did was they moved 4 men to bots, had Leader base and TP mid to cover. And all the meanwhile, Mad have just been saying, can we engage? Can we back off? Can we engage? Can we get top tower? And now they'll finally get this top tier 1, but they were so late to respond that I feel like Astralis got a little bit more objectives than they should have.
A lot of indecisiveness there from the Mad Lions. As you rightly said, we talked about how the cross map made the most sense for them. Just send your Annie top, start sieging onto that tower in exchange for the bot, but as you already said, looking for that fight. Now the Baron should be wearing off. A decent advantage gained for Astralis across the board. They've opened up the map a lot more, and now it's easier to set up deeper vision. As the Dragon are going to be spawning in about 2 minutes' time. Astralis, 3rd items beginning to be completed, and the scaling element that Astralis have is going to be difficult for Mad to deal with as we move into the 5v5s.
Yeah, with 2 minutes on the Dragon, you can see Astralis setting up, just denying vision for the moment. Baron's still a little while away from expiring, 30 seconds. And their net gain here is 3 towers to 1, and of course the Baron gold. So it's about a 3,000 net Baron power play.
So, as much as Astralis have controlled the map and gotten themselves in a stable game state, I feel like the team fights are still a bit of a problem, because the second anyone goes in, they're going to get Braum stunned, the shield's going to come up to block Kobbe's damage, Carzzy will stack up lethal tempo, and Elyoya will ult either Maokai or Nautilus, whoever goes in first. So the front to back is just so much more in favor of Mad Lions. I feel like as the game gets later and later, and the Cassio gets more items, it'll balance out. But at the moment, I just don't see a world where they can get through the front line of Mad fast enough, especially with things like the Gwen. So we'll see how they approach fights here, Astralis, and we'll see if Mad stick together. I feel like if they split up and leave Carzzy alone, or Nisqy trying to flank a bit too much, then he could get caught off guard.
I mean, often we talk about who sets up on an objective first, and it feels like if Astralis are able to set up around a Dragon first, they have a lot of ability to stop Mad Lions getting in to the zone that they're controlling. You've got the Saplings, you've got Petrifying Gaze, you've got the Maokai ultimate, you've got Finn, who's just a tank as well. So if Mad are funneling, it feels like perhaps it's a little bit easier for Astralis. But if Mad have the opportunity to play on an open field and find the engage and find that Hylissang flash forward or the Annie flash Tibbers, it becomes a lot more tricky for Astralis.
Well, right now it's Mad looking to set up on the river, all in from Finn.
Yeah, really early there. Okay, down to half HP. Hylissang stepping forward. Kobbe does get a double root. There's the hook as well from JeongHoon into the death charge. That's going to land onto Elyoya on the backline. 1-1-3 coming in from the side, but Leader is nowhere near this fight. Mad Lions are grouped as 5. They'll use the Locket shield. The hook lands onto Hylissang once again, but JeongHoon is popped by the Tibbers. 1-1-3 now retreating Astralis. You can see Finn having to go back to base as well. And here's the TP, but 1-1-3 is locked in the middle of the Mad Lions. The Mad Lions happily take 2 kills.
The range is too much. Even Hylissang splitting from the rest of the team. Astralis couldn't get the kill. Finn thought that they had a pick, but he doesn't have enough CC. He's trying to insect the Trundle, but they don't have enough damage or follow-up. Looks like the Dragon will go down. There's no Baron for 1 minute 30, so Astralis are just hovering this top side. The only side of the map that's really safe. Maybe they can look for a top tier 2, but Mad Lions stick together. It's really hard to break that death pool.
And you could see Leader looked quite animated on the player cam there, and he was nowhere near that fight. I really feel like he's like, hey, I'm 3-item Cassio. Why are we fighting without me in these situations? Because if he's here, then they can get through this front line.
You can see that the fight starts off with Finn going for a bit of a back and forth with Elyoya. He's trying to catch Elyoya out alongside JeongHoon, but with the bot lane of Mad there to assist, it's just a battle of the front lines, and Hylissang is just tanking absolutely everything up. Then with the arrival of 1-1-3, it looks like a good fight, but it's 4v5. Leader is yet to join the fray, and this is a 3v5. The over-commitment from JeongHoon, they did to him here what they did earlier in the mid lane, where they just burst him and then they can chase down the rest of the fight. Finn is forced to back away. 1-1-3 realizes there's no way for him to get out, and Mad pick up 2 clean kills.
It's just sloppy from Astralis, really, isn't it? Your Cassio's pushing top, TP's 30 seconds, a minute away, and then you're trying to make a pick on the bot side. Dragon's still 20, 30 seconds away. Maybe getting a little bit impatient here, but I think they can relax, take it slow, wait for Kobbe to get Lord Dominic's play on 3 items, but now Carzzy has IE, still has summoners up as well, so it's going to be a real tough task to get on top of this Jinx.
And Mad are in such a strong position. You can see Rabadon's death cap just complete for Nisqy. He's incredibly powerful. Carzzy at 3 items as well. And after a very disappointing regular season for them where they only just squeaked into our group stage, the last couple of days have looked a lot more promising for the Lions.
Certainly have. Mad Lions, of course, have shown some errors here and there, but at the end of the day, right now they're playing the map better than Astralis as they start off the Baron, but this time Mad are aware.
Finn's going to try and keep Chasy occupied down towards this bottom side. JeongHoon going forward as well. 113 has the Nature's Grasp, pops it out. They're going to try and burst it during it, but Elyoya's already out of the route and he can try and get into the pit. The subject coming down. 2,000 HP on the Baron. Elyoya's in the pit. JeongHoon going forward. It's still at 2,000. Kobbe trying to kill off Elyoya. 113 trying to do the same. The Baron secured by Astralis. Finn diving onto the backline now. Astralis will try and disengage this. Elyoya low. Leader trying to get away, but they can cut some blows. One more proc on that would be enough. He's stunned. He's locked up. Pulse the miasma down. Astralis retreating. A good route from Kobbe. Is landing onto Chasy as they try and take him out of the fight. And Carzzy starts to get excited. And the Mad Lions start to pounce.
It's 4 straight kills. 113 actually dies to Elyoya as well. It's a clean 5-0. Astralis were the ones forcing that Baron. I feel like this entire game, Mad have just been waiting for Astralis to make the plays and punishing them every single time.
They really have. And it looked like for a moment when Astralis were able to secure the Baron, maybe they'd get a couple of players out, but they just couldn't quite do it. Mad Lions now take the tier 2 in the bottom lane, take the tier 2 in the mid lane, continue to open up the map and have a 5,000 gold lead.
I can't wait to watch this replay because I just want to highlight how well Mad Lions play around Kobbe's ultimate because they just play so fantastically around the feather pullback. There was a world where Astralis could turn here, but there's a bit of a fiesta in the pits where 113, Kobbe and Elyoya are trying to finish. I think what they're doing here is waiting for Xayah to burst it. Eventually it comes up and they manage to finish it off. But as you see the fight progress, Kobbe's ult with the feathers, you'll see Mad Lions just run all the way around it on the left.
Carzzy's getting focused by Finn. He also has a lot of safety to play around. The feathers will come down. Carzzy moves over to the left.
Yeah.
They sidestep it for the time being. Chasy buys so much time as well. And it comes back to what you were talking about. But I also feel that while Mad have a lot of tools to be able to buy time on the front line, it feels like the Astralis are never really getting the ideal fight for themselves.
Yeah.
You never get that traditional front to back where you actually have the opportunity to play these front lines. It always feels like that it's a bunch of segmented fights with small skirmishes, and this is really where the Mad Lions composition is thriving. They're able to just pick apart one by one. They first take out Finn, then they focus leader, and then they can chase down the rest of the team. Whereas Astralis, it feels like that they never have that front line to leverage their backline strength. And Mad Lions are constantly dominating in the fights.
It's another game where we see Carzzy in team fights absolutely popping off. This guy is on a tear this weekend. Lethal Tempo Jinx obviously helps you out a lot when you have a front line that can let you get that sacked up, but most damage in the game by a long shot right now as Mad Lions start to group up towards this mid lane. Hylissang looking for something. Kobbe's going to Gale Force away. The knockback, Super Mega Death Hook on Kobbe takes him down to half. Radiant Virtue's going to heal him up a little bit as the Nature's Grasp comes out, but that's the disengage used by Astralis.
Yeah.
And Mad Lions really didn't have to invest much to get that out.
Astralis' engage is just awful, isn't it, into Mad Lions' comp. The Nature's Grasp will always get blocked. Elyoya can always ult 113 on the Aftershock. Chasy's immune. It's so hard to even step up. Kobbe is having such a tough task even getting in range of his Jinx, and I feel like this can't be a front-to-back game anymore for Astralis. It never really was. It was about getting on the Jinx, but now it's a must. It's a certainty. Somehow Finn has to go on a flank. Leader has to maybe even flash ult forwards in the next fight because 40 seconds on the Soul, he won't even have the flash, so we'll see if Astralis can get into this bot side river.
Hylissang on the Braum has been doing so much work from start to finish. We saw the level 1 gank mid, the play set up on bot, and while Astralis were able to find strong ways back into the game, it feels like that they made a number of blunders that Mad were very quick to take advantage of.
Here we go.
TP's now coming into mid lane, another fight.
There's the stun going out from the Tibbers. 113 caught up with it. Finn trying to dive onto the back line as well. 113's Nature's Grasp is back up. He'll pop it. Chasy pops the stopwatch. The hook from JeongHoon does manage to get onto Shakespeare. Look at the damage from the Tibbers. Already one for Kobbe. JeongHoon low. Feathers fly as Hylissang almost dies, but Kobbe is going to fall as Elyoya is on the chase. In fact, Kobbe just survives. The zap just wide. Elyoya still stepping forward. It's Leader and Kobbe and JeongHoon against the world. Only Chasy has fallen for the Mad Lions so far. No way for them as JeongHoon will hold it off, but the Infernal Soul, you have to feel, will be Mad's prize.
So they slow chase JeongHoon here. Is it really worth chasing for the kill? Looks like Nisqy wants it. I mean, can't really blame him. The Dragon's basically secured. It's just a game of cat and mouse. How far can JeongHoon run? Is he going to execute? Looks like he thinks he's safe there. Nisqy's probably going to think he's in the bush.
Yeah, but he goes the other way.
Can Nisqy? Is he actually out?
He
He Hex flashed over.
Flash. He sees it.
Well, Nisqy really wants
Nisqy
this.
has the Molten Shield speed up, so he will win out on the Battle of Moon.
No, he will.
eventually.
He's got the hooks. He can hook the wall. Spider-Man's out.
Gets away to safety. The Soul will go in favor of Mad Lions, but this is the best situation the Mad Lions can hope for at this point, given the deficit they find themselves at. Nisqy just throws the ultimate down. The front line just gets melted, and already at the start of the fight, Astralis is forced to retreat.
I think he misclicked stopwatch as well there, Chasy, so he actually gets hooked. So there was a world where the Gwen could maybe die, but this is the front to back. Leader and Kobbe free hitting. Down goes the Gwen, but again, Carzzy sidesteps away from the feather pullback. He plays on the opposite side of the team fight. His Jinx has been on point in terms of positioning.
Yeah, you just have to watch Carzzy in these fights because he's just untouched.
Yep.
Every single fight, he has so much space to play with, and he's just always hitting the target closest to him. And the damage is representative of that. Nisqy as well, doing his fair share. And it's just it's a well-played fight every time from the Mad Lions. Astralis, with no real threats onto the Jinx, have no easy access to winning out on these fights. And now it's only going to get harder now that the Mad Lions have themselves the Soul.
Runan's Hurricane, Jinx Rockets with Soul, not something that is pleasant to experience and to be on the receiving end of. A 7,000 gold lead for Mad Lions, Baron up in 40 seconds time. Looks like they're going to slow play this one, make sure that they cross their T's and dot their I's and really suffocate Astralis out of the game.
There's no real break point for Astralis. Kobbe's been sitting on these 3 items for the last 5 minutes. He's picked up a stopwatch and a crit cloak, but that's not going to be enough. Mad just playing the baiting game, playing around vision. Astralis thought they had to go through mid there to take control, and Mad Lions backtrack to the tower. Now they're going to go back into the river again as Astralis catch the wave. And yeah, as soon as it spawns, I think they'll just start it up. Does Astralis take the fight? Maybe they have to. I think that's it. Waiting for Elder in 4 minutes could work, but I think you're just going to lose the game before then, looking at how far ahead Mad Lions are now. So they're just going to have to walk in blindly to their death and try one last time.
It's begun. Nisqy, though, looking for that flank position, spotted out by a sapling. 7,000 HP on the Baron, down to 5 now. Chasy and Nisqy in good flank positions. Nature's Grass coming out. Kobbe trying to put the damage down, but immediately the Gwen is on top of him. Chasy just able to escape from this one as 113 has already been killed off by Carzzy. Mad Lions turn their eyes back towards the Baron. Finn trying to get onto the front line. The tip is coming out. JeongHoon with a hook as well. The depth charge coming out as Kobbe's able to pick up one. Leader trying to put some damage into this fight as well, but JeongHoon already going to get stunned up with the concussive blows. Elyoya can't lock him up. He manages to get over the wall. Kobbe opening up. Carzzy low. Kobbe dives in, the feathers fly, but the shield of Carzzy just in time. Leader dashing forward, but Leader will die for it. In the end, Mad Lions win out the fight. Elyoya able to kill off the last remaining player down towards the bottom side.
Oh, Astralis found so many small windows where it looked like they were going to clean up the fight, but Hylissang and Elyoya just refused to die. Then Astralis had to overcommit. They had to commit the flash from both Kobbe and Leader to securing that single kill onto Carzzy, but it cost them everything. Mad Lions will walk away with the Baron, and Mad Lions looking to walk away with game 1.
It was a close fight, actually closer than I anticipated. The fact that 113 died and then it was a 4v5 and they managed to get a big shutdown onto Leader as Carzzy dies. But I think he's
Watch
just picked
Finn. Watch Finn as this fight ensues because he does a great job of helping the team melt Chasy. Of course, 113 gets popped at the start. Kobbe getting zoned away from the fight. Mad then turning back on towards the Baron, and then keep your eyes on Finn here as he's able to find a window where he actually gets on top of Chasy, brings him back in using the pillar, and then gets that initial kill.
I think Carzzy's tanking Baron this whole time as well. That's why he gets so low HP. This Baron actually helped Astralis so much because Carzzy being low means it's very hard for him to step up. And now here's the commit. This is everything. All eggs in the basket. They landed onto Nisqy. Just about landed onto Carzzy at the end, and it's the shield, like you said, Medic, that saves him. Right here, dodges away, shield stops the auto attack, stopwatches the pullback as well, which probably would have killed him. Leader flashes in. I don't even think he lands here. He does land the Q towards the end, but he just knows that he has to get that Jinx down. But now Carzzy has 6 items, one of them a Guardian Angel. Elder's in 2 minutes. I think Astralis' best bet, stall till Elder, but I don't know if Mad Lions will let them do that. 2 minutes on their Baron.
Yeah, they can just push in 2 lanes right now. Chasy, Finn will really struggle to deal with the Gwen in the isolated 1v1. Perhaps you send Leader down there to try and match. For the moment, though, Astralis is clearing out the mid lane as the wave now begins to crash towards that bot side inhibitor. 10,000 gold, the lead for the Mad Lions. This series between them and their 2nd consecutive playoffs. Between them and what could be an MSI spot. Of course, they are leading our league in terms of championship points, and if G2 win the split, Mad Lions making playoffs is enough for them. 113 looking for that engage, though, trying to stop that from happening. Double root lands, but it's Elyoya and Hylissang who can just tank it up. The tipper's coming down as well. JeongHoon look for something, but he hooks a minion, and even with the depth charge, he is sunk to the depths again. Goes back to Atlantis to meet his other friends, it seems, as now Astralis 4 members to defend.
He's trying to fake pressure, he's trying to threaten and engage. It was never really there. Mad Lions don't fall for the bluff. 1 member down, they're pushing forwards.
Neither trying to put the damage down in from the side here as Finn pops a stopwatch. The inhibitor goes down, Flame Chomper's dashed away, but the damage from the needlework from Chasy is just unbearable. Untenable situation for Astralis, it feels. TP in by Finn. Has the all-out, has the flash. Can he catch Carzzy? But even if you do, you still have to deal with Nisqy. Currently only 1 death on him and 4 items on him as well. Hylissang flashes away. Finn trying to get him from the side, but Mad Lions have already disengaged because they've taken double inhibs. And Astralis, still only 4 players to try and land this fight. Can't find anything. JeongHoon is back alive, but it feels like Astralis are just looking for scraps.
They have to chase him here. 10 seconds on the Elder. They need to stop the bases. They've actually let them walk into Fog of War, so TPs will come back from Nisqy and Chasy. Hylissang's in base as well. He's going to refresh all of his wards, so they're going to reset. Astralis should have really tried to stop them as much as possible there, so they can't spend this gold and they can't regen the wards and health bars, but now this is a full brute force. Mad Lions coming out of base. I think they're going to start this up soon, but Astralis have snuck in through this bot side.
Mad, though, don't need to gamble it. They really don't. They can just leave Chasy pushing in the mid lane if they want to.
Yep. No TP on Chasy, though, because he did use it to mid, so they might want to take the fight just in case. Elder started. Nisqy, look at his position. Blast Cone Tibbers, Blast Cone Tibbers, Nisqy trying to dodge away from the Matrix Blast, Finn going in as well, and already they've managed to take down Carzzy, but it's only to the GA. Nisqy with a great positioning, he'll take out Kobbe, and even though you bring Carzzy to death, his guardian angel resurrects him as Mad Lions look to end the game.
It's a 5-0 fight win for Mad Lions. The rush into the base is clean. It took 38 minutes, but Mad Lions will secure a big victory over Astralis and look to go 1-up in this series.
What a performance for Mad Lions. In the mid-game, it felt like Astralis maybe had grasped some hope back in it, but in the end, Mad Lions T-Fights come out on top. 1 game away from playoffs.
I expect Astralis to choose blue side now. Great game from Mad, but I really think there's something to think about here in drafts for Astralis. You leave open Annie as a first pick, you give it to Nisqy on a flex, he plays fantastic. Carzzy's Jinx looks like his way of band-aiding the problems that Mad Lions had through the best of ones in the group stage, and now I feel like playing Trundle Braum into Maokai Nautilus is just so unplayable in jungle spot. Even though they got leads, you could see the fights were just really, really hard. They were playing from such a deficit, not from gold, but from other resources in the way the game works.
Can I just clarify? You said you want Astralis to pick blue side. I assume you mean red side? Or do you want them to pick blue side again?
Blue side again, yeah. Blue side again. And then I think they need to do something about this Annie. Like, if it's open, first pick it. Leaders play the game of Annie, flex it maybe. But yeah, Annie and Jinx are the 2 champs I'm looking at for Astralis to shut down.
Well, we'll see if Astralis agree with you there. We're going to hand it over to Ender, who's standing by at the telestrator.
Thank you very much, Medic. Now, before the game, we set 3 primary focuses in the early game. 1, that Mad are going to look to play a very bloody early game. 2, that they want to shut down Leader. And 3, that much like Vitality in last week's series versus Astralis, they could try to split the map against bot lane and punish. And they do all 3 in the first 4 minutes of the game. It starts with Hylissang at level 1. Braum level 1, no stranger to that being a very powerful champion. And you can see the first play from them is just going to be a very delayed invade here around 110. They actually see Kobbe step forward to place down the ward. He'd been camping it for the entire time, and they don't get anything off of it. Nothing too shocking, nothing too surprising there. It is interesting, though, as Astralis walk up to try and zone Mad Lions away, they lose vision, and you'd assume here that Braum is taking, the safe route around that you see the Jinx taking. But instead, he's actually walking up into mid lane, knowing that they just cleared away the ward that was placed to watch out for any early game plays or any level 2 invade from the Trundle. Leader is going to get punished. Nisqy had charged up the stun here too, so the layering of CC gives Leader virtually nothing he can do, and he falls. So then you'd say, okay, great, they've shut down mid lane, that changes everything. At the same time, you've got a Trundle that has cleared 1 camp, his red buff, and has now run the gauntlet all the way down to the bottom side. There's no wards to spot him out, nothing like this. There's actually this one odd ward placed right there to spot another late invade, something like this, and he's gonna path around dodging from that, and they instantly punish this bot lane. It looks absolutely fantastic for them, and even though they don't necessarily get a kill, they're looking to play very bloody, very aggressively early, buying early priority for Carzzy too. So the game speeds up a little bit. Actually, it's a really good punish from Astralis in the mid lane, but you'll notice in that play in mid, 113 lost his flash. What does this mean for the Maokai? Well, Maokai's already going to get absolutely bodied by a Trundle in the jungle, And now without a flash, there's no way to escape from the pillar. So level 3, knowing, hey, these guys never actually stepped up to ward, so that's still going to be clear for him in the tri-brush. He can path in here. At 113, his sapling is in the wrong spot. Again, thinking there is an option for some kind of invade to happen, not expecting it to come from bot side once again. The bot lane from Mad Lions is also moving up because they got prio off of that gank, and 113 gets shut down and died. Elyoya didn't have to use his flash in any of the early fights, so he gets a big lead there. And out of the end of it, I think actually every single lane, you can't see it on this version of the scoreboard, but the lane gold difference is about 300 gold across all of the lanes, apart from top lane for the Mad Lions. So the early game play from them absolutely paid off, and Carzzy ended up being a big beneficiary of all of that and went on to carry hugely in the late game.
Yeah, he definitely did in the early game also. I mean, we said that this game is going to get bloody and we're going to get an action-packed League of Legends from the very starting moments of the game. And Broxah, I also want to attract attention to what Astralis tried to do here, because Kobbe and JeongHoon also tried to fight back in the early game, and Astralis was able to put up some really interesting bot lane plays, I believe.
Yeah, we expected both of these teams to come in and bring a lot of aggression, and you know, we saw it. It's not like Mad Lions were just rolling over Astralis. Astralis kept finding back, finding a lot of opportunities in the bot lane especially. We see it here starting the fight with JeongHoon, finding a hook. You know, all of Astralis is here, Nisqy TP is in. The second hook, nothing Elyoya can do. Leader is there to follow up with the root. Kobbe obviously, you know, ends up cleaning up 2 of them. And this starts Kobbe's huge killing spree. Like, shortly after this, he's 6-0 in a great position to carry the game. So, you know, just great movements and great team fighting from Astralis.
Yeah, and I think like 113 is sort of making these plays around bot side. It came in relatively late into the game because, again, the Maokai has a tough time stacking up against the Trundle. Both his red buffs ended up getting stolen away from him. So finding these windows a little bit later into the game after the initial laning phase was really important to getting things back on track. If he tried to go a little bit earlier or found a window where a counter gank was much more of a possibility, especially on that second time around, things could have gone more poorly. But I think for the hand they were sort of dealt after those first 4 minutes, 113 and Astralis played pretty well to get Kobbe back on track.
Yeah, that's the thing. In mid-game, we saw some hope on the side of Astralis. Of course, I think the composition that Mad Lions chose was maybe easier to execute and they had more agency. We'll talk about Carzzy later popping off at every stages of the game, but there was hope for Astralis in mid-game. But how did they not manage to come back here, Broxah?
I think ultimately it was just, like you said, the comp was too hard to execute, and they also gave Mad Lions such a strong team fighting comp. It's almost impossible to walk in, and we saw it. Sure, Kobbe is 6-0 on Xayah, but the moment he steps up, he's going to get a Tibos, you know, right on top of him. His entire health bar is gone. Whereas for Cassie on Jinx, sure, he wasn't as strong initially, but no one could ever reach him. There was just so many tools to peel. We have a Trundle, we have the Braum. Like, I think the difference between the two comps was just way too big, and Mad Lions got everything they wanted in draft.
Yeah, it's a huge range diff when it comes to AD carries. Like when both carries are so fed, and they were both so fed, a lot of the time it comes down to like how safely can you actually use your items and your DPS in a fight. So the peel you're mentioning, also just the range battle, and I think Carzzy was playing the micro in those fights so well. I think one of the last like big fights of the game that's happened around the Baron buff.
Definitely.
He did a really good job of, he got chunked out early in the fight. He was down to like 25% HP. I think it's a different fight where they end up just wiping the floor with it. But throughout the game in these team fights, he was positioning very well.
I think it's interesting actually to think about what it's like being inside a team in these scenarios, because when it comes to the late game team fights, all you really think about is, can your AD carry hit?
Yeah.
If the AD carry can freely hit, you're gonna be fine. And we see it right here. Like, Carzzy is just free hitting from the backline, destroying anyone coming his way, while Kobbe is struggling, dealing with Tibos, dealing with Chasy. And Carzzy could free hit every fight. Kobbe, he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, range diff here, I want to say, and also the right tools for Mad Lions. The casters were saying that maybe a champion like Jinx is the band-aid that Mad Lions need to compensate for the weaknesses that they may have. I'm just wondering, what can Astralis do next? Something we've talked about during Reddit check was the fact that against Vitality, mid-jungle was an issue for them. And here I want to highlight the Annie pick maybe, and whether or not they should consider banning the champion or going to another direction, because for me, it's been a key pick alongside the bot lane for the Mad Lions here. So what kind of improvements do you see on the side of Astralis to turn this back around?
I mean, so I don't know if I'm necessarily like, fully on board the like this Annie is like the biggest problem in the world for them. Like I think it's definitely like you can play into the pick. At the same time, they have lost last 3 games playing against it. I think ultimately my bigger issue is like they have a lot of tools to sort of like kite back in the fight, but not as many tools like play like proactively. I think in the early game around that mid 2v2 they had the one gank, but as soon as Maokai loses flash, it's really hard to like revisit that lane. And then when it comes to like the scaling elements, like obviously the team fight is going to be tough for them, but also the Gwen is outmatching a Cassante on a side lane. The Gwen flanks, the Annie flanks are making it. So yeah, even though you have all these great tools to peel back, a Cassio, when there are people coming at you from multiple different directions, a Xayah too, runs into a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's like 2 things that I don't like from Astralis in this draft, aside from leaving open Annie. One is the fact that we picked Maokai instead of Vi, because Vi was locked in really early. No, Jinx was locked in really early. Vi is still open, and I understand why Astralis didn't pick it, because 1-1-3 is 0-4 on Vi this year, but it's one champion that can, you know, actually take care of Jinx. Maokai, he can't do anything, and at the same time, they put leader on Cassio. Sure, it's kind of a meme at this point that the guy can only play melees. It's not the case, but he's best when he plays those aggressive mid laners, and that's where he can really shine. So I think they just need to, you know, deny the opportunities from Mad Lions, but at the same time find a way to better play into their own streams.
Yeah, we'll be playing on the same side anyway, so we'll see if they manage to turn this around. For now, Mad Lions lead the series. We're going to take a short break here, and we'll be back in a couple minutes for the second game of this best of 3. See you soon.
I will flash on him, okay? Go. All heads, but all heads. Okay, go. Nice. We can Drake, okay?
Good job.
Guys, we are fighting this. We are fighting this. I'm low.
They're going deep. No Jinx ult. I'm low.
Jinx no flash. Yeah, no flash. Look Jinx, okay?
Yeah, I'm coming as well. I don't really have much.
Yeah. But we kill.
Yeah, I will ult.
No flash. You can kill. Hey, head splash.
Stopped where he stands. 1-1-3 trying to get away. The Super Mega Death Rocket. Hilly! But of course, Hilly flash Q!
Play for Jinx. I can block for you soon, Carzzy. Just go penta then.
Oh, go forward. Penta.
Right, Chasy!
Back to Korea.
Chasy!
Back to Korea.
No penta. I want to win, just...